We're back. It's been a little bit, but hey everyone, it's Caleb from Caleb Berkshire's Trains here today. And in today's video, we're going to be showing you exactly how I ballast the track on my HO scale 4x8 layout. This video is brought to you and sponsored by Berkshire Station. If you haven't checked them out yet, they're a fantastic train store. They're located in Iron Station, North Carolina, and they have all the scenery supplies that I actually am using for this layout came directly from the store. So they carry scenery, new locomotives, used locomotives, you know, in all different scales, HO, N, O, and some G scale as well. So definitely make sure to check them out if you haven't already. It's by far my favorite train store. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it and show you guys exactly how I ballast the track. So there's a couple different techniques that you can actually use to ballast the track. And I'm kind of using a mix here of different techniques. So for HO scale, as far as the ballast size go, I actually mixed a little bit of medium and fine, about a half and half mix to make it look good, just because I wanted something in between those two, but nobody really has that unless you buy a more expensive brand of ballast. I'm just using Woodland Scenics for now because I didn't feel like dropping bank on ballast. But another thing that I did is recently I bought a 3D printer and I 3D printed this tool. Now this tool right here actually has a slope in it, and then you can see it's got the grooves for the track and 3 holes. This just speeds up the ballasting process quite a bit. If you can't 3D print one of these, totally understandable. There are some ballast things like this for sale online. It does speed up the process. Although it is not necessary, it does help a lot. But the other technique that I'm using, especially in areas like this rail yard where I don't trust spilling ballast everywhere, because if you do, you won't be able to switch your switches, is just by simply using a spoon. Now, what I'll do is I'll take my mixture of ballast. As you can see here, I've mixed about half and half with medium and fine. I'll just take my mixture here, and we'll get some close-up shots in just a second, and I just simply dump it very carefully until it looks about the right amount. There's no right or wrong way to do this. If you want a lot of ballast, you can do a lot of ballast. If you want it to be just the bare minimum, you can do the bare minimum. It all depends on personal preference. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. Although with rail yards, I will normally lay on the ballast a little bit heavier because, you know, in real life with rail yards, it's not as pretty and they look more industrial. So, you know, it kind of depends on the feel that you're going for the layout. But yeah, let's go ahead and get some close-up shots, just kind of showing exactly what I'm talking about here. So I've got it zoomed in here just so you can kind of see. So right now we're going to do this little section here, and then it also showcases a switch that I really want to show, and I'll actually pick up the camera and show you exactly what you do with switches, because you do not want to mess that up with ballasting it, or you're going to have a fun time trying to get it to open. I actually messed up on a couple of them on this layout. You know, we all make mistakes. I'm not perfect with building layouts, although I try my hardest. It's just, you know, it's a difficult thing to do, is ballasting, especially making it look right. So you can see I'm just very lightly taking the mixture here, and then, you know, we'll go ahead and get the middle here. I'm kind of just very carefully dumping it until it looks about right. I like a little pile that's just a couple of millimeters thick, perfectly in the center of it, just like this. And then I'm going to stop right before where the switch actually moves, right here. Okay, so right here is where the switch actually moves. I'm stopping right before that, and then I'll start right after that. And the reason why is normally you can't, if you want to ballast in between it, you can, but the safest thing to do normally is just not ballast right there where it moves. And then the parts where it does move right here, make sure it is completely flat. The ballast is completely flat so that it has room to move back and forth. It's definitely a little bit difficult to pull off, but it really, really looks good in the future. So we'll go ahead and get the outside here too, just so I can kind of show you. So what I'll do is I'll just take my finger, and you can see it's a little bit gray already, and I'll just simply rub that ballast down. Now you're going to notice that at first it's going to be all over the rails, and I'm going to show you how you get that off the rails, the easiest way I found at least. I'll take my fingers, just, you know, keep patting down the ballast, making it look good. And you can see this process, doing it this way, takes a while, and that's why I highly recommend 3D printing a piece. But what I'll do to get the ballast off the top of the rails, okay, is I'll take a paintbrush. Let me find the right size one. I've got it here somewhere. Here it is. So I will take a paintbrush about the size of the center of the rail. Just buy one of those, they have variety packs at Walmart for about $6, I think is what I bought, and it came with this. Works perfectly okay. You don't have to have an expensive brush for this. And then just very simply and very carefully start brushing the ballast off the top of the rails. And the reason I say carefully, so you're not flinging ballast into the switches. For main line, it's not as big of a deal. You can, you know, go as fast with it as you want, but where I'm in the rail yard here with switches after switches, I want to make sure that I am being as careful as possible. As you can see here, that looks way better right here. The tops of the rails aren't nearly as covered, and you can take as much time with this as you want until it looks perfect, but I'm pretty happy with it, so we're gonna go ahead and do a quick little time lapse of finishing up the rail yard here, and then I will show you exactly how I put glue down for this and a cheaper way to actually make your own glue. Scenic cement, there's nothing wrong with it, but the glue mixture that I've come up with works almost just as well. Although you might have to put it down a couple times, it is way cheaper and more cost effective. So yeah, let's go ahead and do a quick time lapse. So the first thing that we want to do is actually take a spray bottle. These are the ones at Hobby Lobby. They're $4, and these are fantastic. I think they're supposed to be like a tie-dye or a hairspray kind of bottle, but these work great. So we'll just go ahead and fill it up with isopropyl alcohol. I'm probably going to dump quite a bit of it because it's going to take a lot to spray all the track. I don't want to use all of it though, because I am going to need some to clean the track with, which is definitely an important step when it comes to this process. So that right there should be about good enough for the part of the track that we're doing. Although we might need more, but I got plenty left in here. I've been on the same bottle for like 3 years, if that gives you a perspective, and I used that bottle on the O-scale layout. So take the spray bottle, and then that's why this one's fantastic. It really sprays. So then what we're gonna go ahead and do is just spray all of the ballast on this layout. And don't be afraid to soak it, okay, with the isopropyl alcohol. And I'm using 91%. I would highly recommend using 91 and not using something as low as a 70 something percent. I forgot what it is, but definitely use 91. It is going to get you the best results, and just absolutely soak it. Don't be afraid to soak all of the track. This isn't going to hurt the track. Again, just make sure you use 91. But you really want to soak this, and what this is going to allow the glue mixture to do is actually seep down into the cracks of the ballast so that everything sticks together really good. So we'll just go ahead and get the whole layout. And it's thankfully with this color of ballast, I believe, what color do I have here? The gray blend is what I have. But for most of them, you'll be able to tell if it's wet or not because it changes color. So we're just gonna go ahead and keep spraying. Let's get this siding here, might have to refill it. Just keep spraying it with the isopropyl alcohol. And again, I cannot emphasize enough how important this step is, because if you don't do this, your rocks are gonna break off into big chunks. I actually had it happen the first time I ballasted. I did not spray it enough with the isopropyl alcohol, and half of the stuff that I had actually ended up breaking into little chunks. So just like that. So just like that, we have the whole layout sprayed with the isopropyl alcohol. Now we will actually move on to the glue mixture. So as you can see, it looks like a bunch of Mod Podges everywhere, and that's because I was experimenting with different mixtures. So I put about like 25% Mod Podge in this, and then a little bit of rubbing alcohol just to thin it out, and then water, and then shook it up really good, and put it in another one of these spray bottles. I still have the alcohol one here. Definitely keep them separate. And as you can see, this just sprays the glue so fast. Like, these spray bottles from Hobby Lobby are definitely the best and fastest way to apply glue that I have ever seen. Definitely have to continue shaking the mixture, sometimes like this, just to make sure that it's thin enough to actually come out of the spray bottle, and not shoot too hard, because if you do, it'll actually penetrate the ballast and you don't want it to, or it'll make like a hole in the ballast. Just as you can see, just like this, just gonna keep spraying the glue until all of it is completely soaked. And again, don't be afraid to just go wild with the glue, because we're gonna be cleaning off the tops of the rails, which is about the only important part to not get glue on afterwards. Like, don't let the glue dry on top of the rails, because then you will definitely be in trouble. Whew. I'll tell you what, you get a good wrist workout though. You can tell that there's glue in the bottle, where this bottle is not designed for glue, it's designed for like water or tie-dye mixture. So you can see we're running a little bit low here. But yeah, using Mod Podge is just way cheaper and more cost effective than using scenic cement. Nothing's wrong with scenic cement. I'm just trying to save as much money as possible so that we can spend the money on more fancy things for the layout, like nice buildings and signals and stuff. But as you can see, glue mixture is low enough where it's not coming out the bottle anymore. So it's the only bad part about these spray bottles, is that the lowest part of it's not too low. But we completely soaked the rail yard and glue, which is the most important thing. We still got to get this siding here. I cannot emphasize enough how much these little spray bottles from Hobby Lobby are worth it. But if you don't get your mixture right, you'll end up with what has caused the Mod Podge bloodbath over here of Mod Podge, because it was shooting directly straight and not in a mist form, and it just looked bad. I actually messed up one part of the ballast I'll have to go back and fix later on down the line with it, because it did that. But so yeah, as you can see, it's getting a little thick because it's hitting the Mod Podge at the bottom. So what we'll do is we'll actually take this lid off. It's okay, there's already, you know, that on there. We'll take a little bit of rubbing alcohol. I don't want to use all of it though, because I still need some to clean the track with. A little bit of rubbing alcohol in there just to thin that Mod Podge down, and then we'll shake it really good. Or water works the same. I just prefer the rubbing alcohol because it really thins it down. I'm gonna touch up some of this ballast. We're gonna go back through after this ballast is almost dry and just touch up areas that need to be touched up, because you know, it's not gonna be perfect at first, but as you can see, that's coming out fantastic. So we're just gonna keep soaking this in glue. All right, and just like that, we've completely soaked all the parts of the track. There's some areas where, again, I think after this is dried, it's probably gonna need some touch up, because it's kind of hard to tell every little spot that you glued. And I tell you what, this does tire your wrist quite a bit. Just using a spray bottle, you wouldn't think that it does, but it does. My wrists are hurting. But yeah, we've completely soaked everything in glue, so now all we gotta do is just let it dry, and we'll check back on it tomorrow and see how everything came out. But there is one more very, very important step that I'm gonna show you here. Let me go ahead and kind of clean up the workbench area a little bit and pour the remainder of the glues out. All right, so this next step is the most important step. And what you'll do is you just take a flat paint cap like this, okay? And then wrap as tight as you can around it. Either a paper towel or a microfiber cloth. I honestly just use paper towels because I don't want to end up throwing away microfiber cloths. And then just very simply push it against the rails. It's kind of lightly, but not too lightly. And then as you can see, that's already spent. So you don't get very far with paper towels, but again, I think it's cheaper than throwing away microfiber cloths, because I personally have not tried washing them with glue on them. It's a little bit scary to do that. So once you get all the tracks wiped off, which I'm gonna just take my time and do it here tonight. I figured, you know, it'll be boring to film that. But once you get all the tracks wiped off, just let it dry for about 24 hours and then you should be good to go. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed watching this one. This one was a little bit more of a just, you know, figuring it out as I go and filming my progress along the way. And I have a feeling that that's how the mountain's also gonna be on this layout. Because the next steps, I think, will be the backdrop and then the mountain. before I can really do any other scenery. But in the process, I can also be putting together building kits like this one, and also the mine that I have finished. I just have to weather them now. But yeah, I'll do a video on actually putting together building kits and some tips and tricks of how I put those together. Again, I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect modeler. I just do the best that I can and take as much time as I can. And again, sorry for the delay on this video. I've just been, you know, super busy with life, and the business is growing still. So yeah, just been having to deal with that. But yeah, it feels good to be working on this again. And this winter, I'm going to try to get it done. We will see though. We will see. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you for watching Caleb Berkshire's Trains.